All right, we'll go ahead and get started today. Welcome to today's webinar, Benefits and Uses of Low-Code Technology. This session is a Pipefy presented webinar. Thank you everyone for joining. We'll get started with a couple of logistics. Few things to note as everyone's joining, logging on. Today's session is being recorded and the slides and recording will be shared with everyone following the session. So keep a lookout in your inbox. And if you don't see them in your inbox and you're looking for it, it might be in a junk or spam folder. So go ahead and check those if you need to. And if not, feel free to reach out and we can share the information and send that back along to you. And while you're at it, you might want to add Pipefy to a safe sender list so that you get our emails in the future and our communications. Everybody is on mute today, so just the presenters are able to talk. If you do have something that you'd like to contribute to the session, feel free to drop it into the chat or the Q&A boxes, and we'll monitor that as we go through. And one last thing to note for everyone, there are some polls as we go along today, so keep an eye out for those as we go through the session. They might show up pop up on a separate screen, so keep a lookout for those when they come in. We like everyone's participation as we go through the session. All right, Alpha, do you want to advance it? Are you able to advance the slide?
Can you guys see it? I'm already sharing the slides. So next slide.
Yeah, go ahead. You can advance it. There we go. And the next one. Introduce our presenters today. So today we are joined by Pipefy. Tomás Coelho is the head of customer success here at Pipefy. He has spent over 10 years at tech companies and government and various startups, and he has wealth of knowledge and experience managing change management and process improvement projects for many of our customers, large and small. So a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge with Tomás here today. And we're also joined by Rafa Castro, who manages our partner accounts, leading strategic relationships with partners such as Capgemini and Accenture and IBM. He specializes in finance and he spent over 10 years working in various financial roles and even in financial institutions. Most recently led large-scale digital transformation initiatives at Accenture, focusing on finance and accounting, leading changes in strategic areas such as procure to pay, order to cash, and financial planning. So a lot of experience from Rafa as well. So we're excited to hear from both these gentlemen on our session today. And a quick agenda of what we'll cover for this. First, we'll talk about how low-code is empowering business units to be agile. Then we'll talk about some of the trends in low-code development and common use cases that we typically see in our world. Then we'll talk about reasons to consider low-code, a reason a lot of you might be here today. And then we'll talk about how to leverage low-code to drive efficiencies within your existing processes. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Hello, everyone. Good to be here with you all. Happy to actually be sharing here some of the knowledge that we are learning with our customers and learning with this journey at Pipefy. I would love to actually get comments and have the chat fired up as well. So feel free to send those comments and also questions here at the chat. We'll be more than happy to answer those. So we can start now. I think what we see in the last couple of years is that we are seeing a digital change in the corporate environment. So we're starting to see that top of the executive's mind today is top-notch technology. They're spending much more in those type of softwares and technology to actually empower their teams. I think a couple of weeks ago, we saw a report from Gartner saying that companies will spend a total of $900 billion in software for the next couple of years. So it's a big chunk of the budget that's being allocated there. But we also see that those technologies are being leveraged as competitive differentiator for many of those companies. So are enabling those companies to be more agile, enabling those companies to actually have more success, fail fast, learn from those fails, adjust. So we're seeing many more companies come to us here at Pipefy asking to have this type of environment and agility. And also what we see is that it's not a moment, and all of those investments are here to stay. So we see every day new technologies coming up. We see every day new technologies popping to actually solve new and business problems that we are facing. And many of those technologies are sticking around on those companies. So just a brief overview on what we see in the market. You can go to the next slide. And at the same time, what we're seeing is with all this need to actually invest in technology, invest in solutions. At the flip side, we are seeing that the world is needing more software developers. We need more people that have those technical skills to actually build those applications or change and maintain those applications. But what we currently see is that while we have 1.4 million computer science jobs in the US market, we actually only seen 400K graduates every year. So there is for sure a gap there, and there's a deficit on how this challenge will be addressed. And also, what we see now in those companies is there's two main challenges. In the business sides, the teams need to be more agile. The current options are not meeting their needs, so they need faster applications, have a faster way to deploy those solutions. They need to get more insights in their business to actually speed up the decision-making process. But at the flip side, what we're seeing the IT teams is that status quo is not sustainable, but for sure, IT need to keep prioritizing security, compliance, and governance, and actually how to meet all those needs and where these things meet up at the middle. We can go to the next slide, please. So what we see nowadays, and this is a topic that we are really deep diving here at Pipefy, is that we are seeing that there is emerging a new technology that can meet all those needs at the middle, which is low code. So low code is this visual approach to software development that provides and enable business teams and people with no technical skills to actually build those applications using visual elements in the software without the need to actually go into IT to actually develop those applications through code. And with that, what we're seeing is that it's emerging also a new governance structure for this new applications development. So we are seeing more and more companies invest, and we see this on a day-to-day basis when I'm talking with our customers here at Pipefy, that they're investing in one role specifically, which is sitting within the business department, which is the citizen technologist or the citizen developer, which is this person that is within the business department, understanding their pains, understanding their needs, and with these low code technologies, this person is enabled to actually deploy and implement in a fast way new applications that are solving the business needs. But at the same time, it's important that IT is involved in this process for us to make sure that we are mitigating risks, we are compliant to the company rules, we are within the governance standards. So what we see is that here on this slide in the right side, companies are more and more using this type of matrix to decide if something can be applied and developed with a low-code technology, or it needs to go to the IT queue and IT backlog to be developed. And this basically follow two rules. One is risk. What's the risk involved with developing something like this? So we see that legacy systems, legacy processes are actually running on ERPs and more legacy softwares within those companies. Those are high-risk processes that must have IT involved, and sometimes may be a delivery from the IT teams. But at the flip side, the other component that they are considering when taking this decision is the technical complexity of that deployment. But the magic here is in the middle. It's where those type of processes that are low risk and have a low technical complexity to be deployed, or can even be in the medium and mild side of those two axes. Those type of process, those type of solutions can for sure be developed by citizen developers. This will speed up the process. This will make sure that those teams are also accountable in building those solutions, and involving IT to make sure that all of those solutions and applications are within the company standards. We can move on to the next one. So this is our report from PMI, which I think really represents what we see now, is that 47% of the business are now using low code, no code application platforms, which is a lot. So almost 50% of the business that the PMI had access to said that they are using low code technology to gain agility, to empower those business teams. While 44% of business globally are considering to use those low code and no code applications platforms in the future. If we match this with the report that we saw from Gartner that companies are willing and will go and are allocating budget to spend in software in the next year, for sure a big chunk of those is related with empowering those business teams. And last but not least, like, we'll have like 4 times what we currently have in terms of citizen developers, those persons within the business teams that are solely focusing their time and effort to actually build those applications, build those solutions on top of those low-code technologies. These will grow 4x in the next 2 years. So by 2024, at least 65% of all the new business applications will be created with these type of tool set, like low code and no code applications platforms. This is not Tomas that is saying here, this is from a Gartner report. So I think what we see now is that this huge shift in the market. But at the end, what we see is that we continue to have that classic dilemma, which is, should I buy a new application? Should I buy a new software? Or should I build my own application within my company? And there are pros and cons on this. So while building a software, you have a highly customized solution, solving that unique specific problem that your company has. But at the same time, we know there is really high cost. You're investing a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy from your IT team. Also, there's potential risk associated with this. How is going to be the maintenance of this? It will surely solve the needs. So complex situation here to actually decide on this. But on the other side, there is the solution to actually go through buying a software, fast implementation, relatively small cost, so not much maintenance, but at the same time, it may not be the right solution. It may not solve fully your problem. Sometimes you do not have the full control that you wish to have. But there is something that meets in the middle of this, which is investing in the low code and no code applications, which you pretty much, and we can go to the next one, you pretty much are cutting some of those cons at the end. You can have the high customization that you wish. You are solving that specific problem, that's unique problem that your business team has or your company has. But at the same time, you also have the fast implementation. You also have relatively small costs, not really heavy to maintain. So the low code effect of this is that it meets in the middle of this classic dilemma. Should I buy or should I build the software? With that, I think I will pass over to Lindsay because we want to know more with you a couple of questions.
Definitely. So as promised, we have our first poll question. So we covered a few reasons of why you might consider low code in your organization. And we just want to get a sense from the audience. What is the biggest reason you, excuse me, are or would consider low code for your organization? A couple options here. Maybe you want to address the developer shortage by allowing users to build their own workflows, or you need to meet the needs of business users while satisfying IT. another common reason that we see. Or maybe you're constantly weighing whether to build or buy applications, similar to that model that we just covered. Or maybe you need to wake up in the back and you don't even know what low code is. That's okay too. Hopefully by the end of the session you will. So we'll give everyone just a minute here to make sure you answer the poll questions. Looks like the responses are coming in. There's not an answer for all of the above by design. So you do have to pick a selection of some of the options here. You can't just say everything or nothing. All right. Hopefully everyone got a chance to contribute to the poll question. And it looks like meeting the needs of business users while satisfying IT is the biggest reason why some of you might be considering low code. Shortly behind that is address the developer shortage as the biggest reason. So some good reasons of why you might be considering low code for your organization.
Happy to see that actually. It's good to actually validate that those are the pain points that you also see in the day-to-day business, and this dilemma from how to actually build an agile operation, but meeting the IT needs and solving the business problems. I think that's the key thing here.
Yeah, definitely. Really relevant.
That's true, and I'm happy to see that nobody asked what is no code again here. So congratulations, Tomas. Everybody could understand the idea of the no code. So thanks for consolidating that information for me. Thanks for the introduction, Lindsay, and thank you guys to be here with us. So my next slide is, okay, now you do know what is no code. Now you want to understand what is happening in the real environment. As Tomas applicable on a daily basis: request management, finance and accounting, and HR vertical. So I do know that my background, as Lindsay mentioned, it is from finance, but I do know that this audience here can be from a lot of other scopes. So the first topic that I want to cover, it is about the request management. So if you see here on the left, there are portals and queries. And what do we mean by that? We say that there are companies that are creating their own portals, or even departments that are creating their own portals to receive the requests. So to give you an example of that, let's talk about the Treasury Department. They receive a bunch of urgent payments request, reimbursement request, advancement payment request. Instead of receiving this through email, they are creating portals to receive those kind of informations, and it will be treated correct in a workflow with approvers and everything that they need to do to manage this request. So this is applicable for a department. But beyond a department, it could be applicable for a customer. Let's say, for instance, that a customer talks a lot with their vendor or with the customers. They do receive a bunch of information on a daily basis through email. Instead of using that, they can create their own portal, and they can receive this information according to the information that it is required to the activities. So this is one trend that we see, so the request management trend. And now I will focus about on the finance and accounting vertical here. So I will try to be easier here. We have the vertical called O2C, which is order to cash, but in a practical way, it would be account receivable. So again, the finance team receives a bunch of informations of credit analysis, credit cash application, or even collection to talk to their customers, or even questions. I want to receive my last invoice. What it is my open invoice that I need to pay you? All of this comes from emails. What we can do, what we can see here is that companies are using a no-code technology to create this workflow and help them on a daily basis. And of course, explore generating the efficient that they want. This will also be applicable for the R2R. So we do have provisions that needs to be posted by the accounting team every month. They can do that with this portal and creating this workflow that they want. Purchase to pay. Every company in the globe has to do quotations. Every company in the globe has to post those invoices that they bought. And every company receives a bunch of questions. When will you pay you? When will you pay you my invoice? I want to understand all of those things. So the no-code technology is being added on those scopes. And the final one, it is the HR services. This is also very easy to understand because everyone already had an experience with employee onboarding, job opening, recruitment and selection, or even queries for the HR team. When will I have vacation? What do I need to do? So all of those scopes can be added in a no-code technology. And you are probably asking yourself, but I already do have programs and processes to manage this. That's true, but on this triangle here, I want to share with you guys the example of the recruitment. Everybody knows how a recruitment process exists, and I would try to showcase how it's happening right now and how the local technology could help you. So in the right side of this table of this triangle here, we do have the email communication or the spreadsheet that you are managing the candidates, that you are managing the communication. In the center of the triangle, we do have the vertical system. It might be the workday, or it might be another vertical system that you control the payroll for those candidates. And in the left side of the triangle, there is an ERP. So it can be Oracle or SAP or your ERP, where you will register the salary, and you will make sure that the cost, it is in the correct cost center, and you can report this for your stakeholders. So this is already happening right now at the moment. And what we see that it is happening right now is that they are using low-code technology to engage all of those processes. So right now it is happening manual. Each step, it is happening manual, from the email to the vertical system, and to the vertical system to the ERP. The low-code technology allows you to create one single system of engagement, and it can be through the no-code technology, and the business team that does know the process will create the rule according to their reality. So this is how the low-code technology is being applicable on a daily basis, and that we see in the market. To give you guys an example, there is Jefferson. He's a finance manager from an outsourcing company. He does not have IT background, but he used a no-code technology to improve the process that he has. His process, it is invoice posting, invoice processing. So every company in the globe must receive the invoices that they purchase, and they need to register in their system. So again, their system exists, but at the moment it is a manual interaction. They are receiving it and putting it manually. So Jefferson, using a no-code technology, he was able to create a solution for the vendors and for the company. So to give you guys an idea, he posted 22,000 invoices per month. This was done by 30 people from more than 40 business units across the country, without any workflow. Jefferson used a no-code technology to create a portal for the vendor to send the invoice. He created with the no-code technology the form, so the requested information or the requested fields that the vendor needs to fulfill. So the team will receive the information accordingly to process that request. And he also created the workflow according to the approvals that needs to happen on each process. So the idea it is that, as Thomas mentioned at the beginning, since the developers are with a gap in terms of positions and available labor force, we are making sure that the no-code technology will fill in the gap. So on this case, Jefferson was able to do that. But beyond that, we not only were able to create this workflow, but the IT was also involved in this case. But the IT was involved to create smarter solutions. The IT was involved to create digital transformation. So on the case here, I would not pass phase by phase, but I will give you the guys an idea that the vendor, they posted the invoice in through the system, and then the system were able to extract the information from the invoice. And who did it? Who did this, the OCR configuration or this robot? It was the IT team. So we can split the responsibilities. The experts will be responsible to use the no-code technology to improve the processes, and the IT team can really drive the digital transformation. And what was the result of those initiatives? The quality of work improved a lot because they have workflows and approves and revision according to the process. The efficiency also improved a lot. The overtime, there was a huge overtime reduction because it is very common to receive a bunch of invoices by the end of the month. So they were able to reduce the overtime. They were also able to pay the vendors on time because the process was faster. And the customer experience is much better because imagine in the past, in the past, the vendor would send the invoice through email or even put in the hands of a person, and he had no clue what was going on. With this no-code technology and with this solution that they created, they were able to send automatically emails whenever the invoice was going from one phase to another. So the customer experience was also even better. They knew what was going on, and it was also faster for them. So they were receiving the amount faster. So this is a real case where no code was able to drive the digital transformation, and we were able to do this without this heavy IT knowledge. The IT knowledge was in place only to drive the digital transformation. Now, we do have another pool of questions. So Lindsay, feel free to step in, please.
Yes, definitely. I love my polls. And thank you for covering that, Rafa. It's, I know satisfying IT and meeting the needs of the business was a hot topic for everyone. So it was really good to see that in action. Oops, did I accidentally, wait a second. Sorry, guys. Launch it. All right. So now that we've covered a couple of those use cases, we will see what everyone thinks. Who do you think could benefit most from low code within your organization? So we talked about a couple of these different use cases and some of these scenarios of what it might look like. So maybe it's the financing and purchasing team within your organization, or HR and people ops, sales and customer success, or operations and a center of excellence might be the best use case for it. Or maybe the IT team that is constantly being asked for new applications. So go ahead and everyone could just take a minute to fill out that poll. It'll be helpful as we continue the conversation. And again, there's not an option for all of the above. So those of you that would like it for everything in the magic wand, it doesn't exist. You got to start somewhere. So we'll see where the best place to start is within organizations of those here on the line. All right, looks like we're getting the responses in, slowing down. All right, we'll share with you guys what the audience says. So it looks like operations and center of excellence is the most needed for where the low code solutions can fit in. So excellent responses, and looks like sales and customer success came shortly after that, and then finance and purchasing IT is a little all over the map, but good to see there's a lot of use cases happening. Perfect.
Yeah, no wrong or right questions. I think this is according to your reality. The no code, it is very flexible, so it can really be applicable for any pain that you have from finance, from HR, or even from the success, the operation center of excellence that wants to drive the digital transformation. That's good to see.
Agreed. And we'll move into some of the top reasons. All right.
Awesome. So we could not go through this webinar without listing here like the top 10 reasons why you should consider this. And we want to wrap around like a bunch of the benefits that we shared so far. First one, So low code is low cost. So we're seeing this, as Rafael was sharing here, this amazing invoice processing process. And we saw that how splitting the responsibilities between the business teams and the IT teams for sure involved less time to actually develop and implement the solutions. And we know that time is money in today's corporate environment. So if we're using a low-code technology, for sure, we are seeing low cost involved with deploying those solutions. The second one would be, here we go. So faster time to value. So it's much easier to actually deploy those solutions. Of course, we'll have back and forth with the operation team or the team involved to actually get those business rules right, get their workflow done right. But for sure, when we get in the all the details done, putting this in the system and going live with it, it's much faster than we used to see before with those long time to actually develop those systems internally. So we actually ease the pressure from the development teams. So we just saw now in this example, when I see this on all interactions that I'm doing with my team in customer interactions as well, how we actually ease the pressure from the development teams or the IT teams. As we all know, like those IT teams with the need to actually be more agile, be more driving digital transformation, the IT backlog can get really long. So we are easing the pressure in those teams and sharing responsibilities to actually get those solutions live. As I said, with that, we are reducing the number of items in the IT backlog. We are making sure that the IT is investing their time and energy on things that they really can make a difference. And working on those integrating systems, working on implementing those top-notch technologies such as OCR or RPA, or making sure that the ERP is working with those systems, which we all know it's a high risk involved, as we said, as we saw before, and also high complexity involved in deploying those. So valuing the time from IT and reducing the backlog. We're also lowering the maintenance burden. So with those low-code technologies, as we are empowering the business users can be the person to actually maintain the processes. He will be the one to actually go back and review the process, implement the changes, implement the improvements, even in sometimes implement some automations to actually drive more agility. All of those done by a business person that is living and breathing that operation environment. So much easier to maintain. We are increasing creativity and innovation. So I see this a lot on a day-to-day basis as we sit down with our customers and we are doing those sessions to actually understand their process. And a lot of those sessions have the innovation department involved, the IT team involved, but for sure the operations and business teams involved as well. It's good to have this diverse way of thinking, and this brings creativity around first to make sure that we are building the best process for that specific problem that the business team has. And getting all those perspectives is really, really good. So we are also extending the tech stack that we have in those companies and make sure that we have a really good shelf of solutions that can be used on every type of challenge that we may face as a corporate and a company that's growing fast. We also are yielding better processes. So as we're getting all those people together and getting the business team to actually get their hands dirty and building those solutions with the help from IT teams, the solution, the outcome at the end, it's much better because we are having that technical knowledge from the IT team and we're having the business context from the citizen developer or the business champion. And This will make sure that at the end we have a process that is meeting their needs, and we are using the best technology that we can, provided by the IT team or innovation team in your company. We improve productivity, as we said before. So it's quality of work. We're reducing the time actually to run those processes. We're making sure that we are collecting the right information. With the right information, we're making sure that reporting is much easier. So at the end, you are giving back to the business teams a lot of time with a really good and well-built process. And last but not least, we are transforming ideas into reality. So by empowering those users, by empowering those citizen developers, we're making sure that as we face a new challenge, as they face a new problem that must be addressed in the day-to-day basis, they are empowered with the right tech solution, but also the right support from the IT team to really fast, in a fast way, to actually bring those ideas and bring those solutions that they are discussing with their customers in the business environment into reality really fast.
Thanks, Tomas, for the overview. So you guys were able to see the benefits, and the idea here is to showcase an experience that I had without low code, and trying to drive the digital transformation without the low code. So I will give you my example, my experience with my background, and each phrase that I will see here, you will be able to connect with one of the benefits that Tomas just mentioned. So creating a workflow, as an expert, they do not know how to code. They do know the process. They do know how it is the process for finance, for HR, the phases, the details, what it is the required fields. But the ITT does not know. And the IT team will be responsible for creating a workflow if the technology, it is not a no-code technology. So my experience was I had to create a story behind the workflow. I have to write, not only create the workflow, but also tell the story behind each phase. So this would take my time to create a workflow, and it would take time for the IT team to read it and to understand. Let's say for the fields creation, okay, on this phase, I want to add this field for the manager to approve, or I want to highlight the saving of this change. All of this had to be done by documentation to share with the IT team. Workflow adaptation. Tomas mentioned that it is much faster to fix the adjustments. Let's say, for instance, without the no-code technology, you were able to talk to your IT team. They designed the workflow that you wanted to have, but suddenly after you are using the workflow in a real scenario, you saw that you forgot to add a new phase. That would require again a meeting with the IT team, or an email, or the documentation explaining, and then again new code behind this new workflow. Automation rules and database connection. Automation rules, what do I mean by that? Whenever the request gets under the approver phase, I want to send an email. This is something that with the no code you can customize. You can do by yourself in a friendly interface. Without the no code, you need to teach the IT team what you want, and they will be able to perform that. The same thing happens for the database. With the no code, you can showcase what are the databases behind your solution. Without the no code technology, you need to share that database, and if you need to update one single field on database, you need to talk again to the IT team. Portal adjustments. Portal adjustments. So as I mentioned, they are creating portals to receive those requests. This can be done by a friendly interface, but without the no code, you need to talk to the IT team and explain to him, okay, this request is related to the department A. This kind of request is related to the team Y. So those are informations that you spend, and you could do this by yourself. User management, you can easily do that with a friendly interface. Okay, this person will be only the approver of this process. This person knows how to use the technology and is the manager, so he will be able to change the phases or adapt anything that they want. With no code, everything it is possible in your hands. Without no code, you will need to be talking to the IT team. Email templates. So as I mentioned, whenever the request enters to the approver of the approval phase, I want to send an email automatically. And this email should capture the information A, B, and C that was fulfilled previous on the request. All of this with the no code, it is easily done. But without no code, you will be needing to talk to the IT team, and that was my experience without no code. And now you can see how the 10 benefits are real. And with that, now I think that we have the final thoughts. I will hand it over to you, Tomás.
Thanks, Rafa. So as we saw today, I want to leave you guys with 3 main messages here. The first one is that what we see is that low-code technologies are offering undeniable benefits. And as we saw in the beginning at the poll that we run, is delivering those benefits for both the IT teams and the business teams, and helping to actually solve that dilemma that we have on how to mix both of those needs that the IT teams and business teams have. So it's enabling the business team to be more agile, but it's also providing this middle ground between, should I build a new solution, should I outsource it? So it's a great way to actually moving forward. The second one is that process automations are solving those common business challenges. As we saw in the example that Rafa brought here to us, we saw that there is a bunch of other technologies happening in that single process, but also a lot of automation that are natively happening on those local solutions such as Pipefy, which is providing the autonomy for those teams to actually solve their problems. So it's creating the value for the business team to actually build those custom workflows and reduce the reliance on technical resources, and actually just using those technical resources when they are there to actually improve the process and make this process even better for the company, as we saw with the example that Rafael brought with OCR and RPA. And also common use cases are providing this scalable framework. So we see that those types of technology, low code and low code technology, are great for, as we saw in the poll as well, a bunch of those different departments within a company, but more specifically for those operations and center of excellence that need to handle requests and manage those requests and deliver a solution at the end, to have a high intake of those requests. So a bunch of things that are popping up in a day-to-day environment on those teams. And they need to do a really good job in actually managing those business processes, reporting those KPIs. And what we see in the corporate environment now is that some of those processes are really hard to actually manage. Like, as we pieces are scattered across all systems. So some pieces in Excel and email, some others in ERP, some others in vertical solutions. And by providing this glue and filling in the gaps, it's much easier to manage all those requests, manage this high volume, and actually report on top of those metrics. So really, what we see is that this is a really good way to actually move forward, improve agility, and also improve the business process at the end, delivering a great experience for both internal stakeholder, customers, and improve this relationship between business teams and IT teams.
Thanks, Tomás. I think we mentioned a lot about workflows, approves, portals, but no code, it is not only behind these simple solutions. We can also have low code to integrate the systems. As we saw, there are ERPs working in the same scope with Excels. What we are seeing, what we want to mention here, it is that the low code, it is not only something that will help you with the process, but it can help you also with automatizing the process or connecting the several solutions that you are currently using. So I would like to take this moment to tell that beyond workflow, beyond portal, we are seeing that we can combine everything in one package. And I think if you see here on this chart in the left, it can show you what I'm trying to say here. So in the left side at the top, you will see some easy use cases or easy solutions to use, such as Excel file, emails, Teams, and other vertical solutions. Those are very easy to use it. However, you cannot do complex process on those scopes. In the other hand, you do have a lot other solutions that are very complex and can help you integrate in several systems. On the other hand, they are not that easy to work. And my final comment here is that if you see our solution in the case, we can match both of those scenarios. We are easy to deploy because we do have a no-code technology. We are also easy to integrate because we have our low-code technology. That allows us and put us on the position that you can see in the right side of the chart at the top. So that's my final comment about how the low code is driving the market and what we can do with the no code. And now I think we do have one final pool of questions, and then we go for the Q&A.
Yes. So for those of you that saw the solution and a little bit of the overview and want to learn more, we just want to get a sense from the audience. If you would like to see something, we can help you model out a workflow, go through some of that with you. So if you'd like to schedule some time with us, let us know in this quick poll, and we'll set that up. And while everyone's doing that poll, hopefully we have some questions. Go ahead and drop those into the chat, and we'll get to those in just a moment here while we have our fantastic presenters on the line and we get a little bit more of their time. All right, thank you everyone for answering that. And we'll go ahead and jump into the question and answer. I just want to reiterate that we are going to share the recording and the slides with everybody that is on the line here today. So if you are looking for those, want to share them with colleagues, those will be sent your way in the next day or so, and you should have that information. So don't feel like you have to take notes or listen too closely if you need to drop off. So I believe there's, just go ahead to the next one there, Rafa. Perfect. All right. First question that we got in, and I believe this one, Tomás, you can probably answer this one. How much experience do you need to build a low code application?
Good question. You don't need a lot of experience, actually. What you need to do is that you do need to be, I would say well versed in technology applications. But those technology applications, I mean, you have some type of experience using software. So that's the first one. But for sure, things that will help you through this is that have a project management experience that will help you to actually scope the solution that you're building and manage this change management process. I think this would be awesome. Also, some type of knowledge in the language that it's used to talk about those solutions. So know a little bit of API to integrate those systems, know a little bit of other applications that can be used. What I mean here is that you don't need to actually have tech a background, or you don't need to actually know how to develop and use code to build up low code applications.
Perfect. Another question that came in, do you find your customers buy less software because they can build the custom apps with a low code version? Hafa, maybe you can take that one.
Sure. This is a good question. I would say yes and no. So why do I mean yes and no? So I read an article, and if you see, it is really what's going on in the market right now. In the past, we just had a few tools that we were working on a daily basis in an office environment. Nowadays, we see that this number of tools are growing a lot. So I think it is a market trend to have a lot of other tools. However, I'm saying no, because as you can see here, we can engage a lot of systems in one single system. So in the other hand, it could be also a way to avoid this cost. So yeah, hope I could answer that question.
Perfect. Yes, it probably is one of those, maybe a little less software, but everyone's always buying more. So hard to say. All right. Good questions, guys. How much maintenance and support time do you typically see customers spend with low code applications? I know we touched on maintenance support just a little bit, but maybe Hafa, you can elaborate on that one.
Sure. I think I could give you some interest situations that I see here at Pipefy. So it is very hard to evaluate the time that they will spend, because it is according to the complexity of this the scope and the activities that they want to perform. But what we did here, we recorded a video where we started from the scratch, creating one solution, adapting this solution, and deploying this solution on a real environment. It took us 20 minutes. It was a few changes that we created in the workflow. Of course, we do know how to do it, but on this way, we can show how fast it is, because you do not have to code. I think the game changer here, it is the friendly interface that the user will have. It is almost intuitive to change a field or to create a form. So that's why I think is the biggest difference.
Definitely. Great answers. Doesn't look like we have any other questions, so we can go ahead and wrap up today. Thank you everyone for joining and for taking the time to spend on this session. Hopefully you learned a little something, some things that you can use in your everyday lives, walk away with some valuable insights. Thank you to both of our presenters here. Oh, one more question on the chat. Is it possible to integrate WhatsApp and Insta to Pipefy?
It is able to do it, and as I mentioned, we do have the low code technology that will speed up this process. So if we think without the low code, it would take you X days. With the no code, it is already preset a few configurations, and it is much easier to deploy and to code that integration. So for sure, it will reduce the time a lot.
Perfect. Hopefully that answers that one. All right. Well, thank you both for your time, for all the insights that you shared today. And we will be following up with anybody that is interested in talking further. And thank you again, everyone, for your time today.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Lindsay, Hafa, we see each other in the next one.
Yes, thanks, Guy. It was a pleasure.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.